What's up, everybody? Scott Campsall coming to you from the Score Studios in downtown Toronto. And I am absolutely psyched today to be joined by a living legend. He's an 11-time world champion, a 14-time tag champion. He's a member of the Canadian Wrestling Hall of Fame. You've seen him in TV and film. You've seen him at Maple Leaf Square decked out in Leaf gear. He is the rated R superstar, Adam Copeland. Adam, what's up, man?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you here. Obviously, you're in town for a couple of big AEW events this week. But before we get to that, I have to ask you, this last Leafs playoff run, you were everywhere.
Yeah.
We saw you, seemed like all the games,
Yeah.
mic'd up for Game 7.
Yeah.
Joe Bowen called you a voice of the Leafs. So I got to ask, as a lifelong Leaf fan, what's it like to reach this celebrity Leaf fan status?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. It might be the coolest part of whatever I've attained popularity-wise from wrestling. The fact that they'll ask me to do the hype video, and I'm standing on center ice, on the Leaf, in an empty arena, banging this thing out. I mean, just ridiculous. You know, I think of like some of my first tangible memories were watching the Leafs with my uncles and my grandfather in the basement of their house on Zina Street in Orangeville, shag carpeting, TV on the floor because it was one of those old wood numbers, and just all of us watching the Islanders against the Leafs.
Yes.
Lanny McDonald coming down, getting that goal. Like, those are some of my earliest memories. So fast forward and to be any small part of Maple Leaf lore, or it's just so much fun, man. Like getting to do a hype video or like, you know, I gave Morgan the belt there, and then to see what they did with that, like it's very cool, you know, just as a fan.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those deals. One of the first things I connected with was hockey. It was hockey, Kiss, and wrestling. And it just couldn't afford hockey, but figured could probably afford spandex. So.
There you go. Well, you got 2 big checks on that. I don't know if you ever met Kiss, but so I have to ask you, obviously, you know, who are your guys? Who's in the Adam Copeland, like, Mount Rushmore of favorite Leafs players?
Ooh, like Mount Rushmore.
Your favorite. They don't have to be like the all-time greatest, but I'm curious who your favorites are.
Wendell Clark is always gonna be at the top of that list. I think George Armstrong.
Yeah.
You know, just to the Chief, you know, be captain for as long as he was, and you know, lead them to the success they had in those years. But I mean, man, it's so tough to
history's
like
deep, man.
Dial it all in, because like I loved Bunny LaRock.
Yes.
Because he stopped Gretzky on a breakaway.
Yeah.
Like Lanny, Sittler, you know, Sundin. There's so many. Keon, like Lehman. Bill Derlego.
Yeah.
You know, like just there's so many guys over the years. I always loved Felix Potvin too.
Oh, yes.
And I feel like that team with Gilmore and they really kind of that was a fun time.
Yeah.
You know, to be a fan. But you look at this core of talent that they have now, and I don't know if they've ever been that talented. It's just how crazy and level the playing field is in the NHL now, where it's like year to year, you don't know who could take it.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not Florida again.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? We can agree on that. So I'll transition now. We'll switch gears to the reason that you're here. A couple big events. Huge tag team matchup this Saturday at All Out. I also keep getting the All In, All Out confused. It drives me nuts.
I know.
I know. I watch the shows. I'm like All In, All Out. But it is All Out in Toronto on Saturday. You're teaming once again with your pal Christian to take on FTR. Now, you know, when I met you earlier, I said I feel like I've been watching you wrestle my whole life, and that extends to you and Christian, you and Jay.
Yep.
Man, what is it like at this point in your career to get to not just get to wrestle with a guy you've known for 40 plus years, but to, you know, continue, you know, writing in that chapter of, you know, what you guys have built?
I think that's the most fun part, is to start writing a new chapter, but also have it be a different chapter.
Yes.
Like we're not just coming back and running the greatest hits. We're doing 2 different characters now.
Yes.
And maintaining that going into this thing, which makes for this like unlikely Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets kind of curmudgeonly, like, can they get along? Are they gonna get along? Like, that to me is a really fun dynamic. And that is what I think is making it different.
Yes.
You know, because eventually if you just come back and you do the greatest hits, and okay, well that might get old fairly quick.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a new version of our team, and it's a version that never existed before. Because I feel like Christian, he found his lane, his pocket, and to lose that to do this team, that would have sucked. So we were able to figure out how to do this and sit down and kind of write this so that didn't get lost, and that now we have this dynamic of, oh, it's up to me to make him likable.
Yes.
And understand that you just got to accept him for all of his dickheadishness.
Yeah, that's a great word for it. You guys have always been known for making up words, so like adding them to the vocabulary. No, truly, and that is like honestly exactly the whole thing that works there is he is awesome as a heel right now, and what he's built is awesome, and the way that you guys are like. I mean, one of the most iconic tag teams of all time, but teaming together in a way that feels completely different is like, it's amazing to watch.
It's I think it was key that he came into it like that, right. Still without anything really likable about him. The only thing that makes him likable is I'm saying, hey, we just got to accept him for this thing that he is. And that, I don't know, it's really fun, and it makes it feel fresh. For both of us too, because as a performer, eventually you just come back and do the same greatest hits, and okay, it's probably going to get old for us too. I think that's why I've always enjoyed bands like Pearl Jam, because it's a different set list every night, and I feel like when you can do something that you've done before that will still hit people in all the spots you want to hit them, but be able to bring a new element to it. Yeah, that has been a lot of fun.
Oh, it's been awesome to watch. This might be a difficult question to ask because the catalog is long, the history is vast. But when you think of the Copeland and Christian partnership over the years, wrestling wise, is there like 2 or 3 matches or 2 or 3 moments that you think are quintessentially Copeland and Christian?
Well, I mean, you look at the TLCs, and when you're a part of creating a match that then becomes its own pay-per-view and becomes its own thing over the years, those are always going to stand out, for us. And plus, we were doing it on WrestleManias, where it's going to get remembered, or SummerSlams. But the one thing that a lot of people wouldn't think of is we did commentary a couple of weeks before WrestleMania 2000, so WrestleMania 16, and up until that point, we were going to be split up as a team at that WrestleMania.
Really?
And after that commentary, it was, you're going to be the tag team champions.
Yeah, right.
So that was a pretty pivotal moment for us, because we both felt like we hadn't got the team to where it could be. Felt like that was the last thing for us to really do. And then from there, if that was still the decision, fine. At least we set out to do what we said in his side yard when we were both in the 6th grade. And then to be able to do that at WrestleMania in Anaheim in the pond, and we're standing on top of this ladder and it's shaking. Actually, he couldn't stand up because his core strength isn't as good as mine. I was able to stand up.
It's got to put more time in on the pure plank.
That's
man.
right. Yeah, I'm about to just planking more, man. I don't know what to tell you. So those were definitely fun memories. But more than anything, I think it's just the aspect of, we could always spitball to each other, and it's the stuff that you don't see, know, and it's the stuff before we got there, and it's those are, I think, what made our team successful, is that we always thought in a very similar fashion in terms of how to tell a story within this industry. So it always felt like, a lot of times with teams, there's the one guy that has all the ideas and the other guy that is just kind of there. That's not the case with us. We're annoying because we're coming in with loads of stuff.
But it works, yeah.
It does.
Well, that's what's so fascinating, because obviously I think the thing that stands out are the TLC matches, but even something like For the Benefit of Those with flash photography is that stands the test of time, that is such an incredible thing that I think even pops up now, I think honestly ahead of its time.
If I always say, Brian Gewirtz, who was the writer that we worked with, he was a member of our team too. Right. It was the 3 of us would all sit down in a room like this and throw out ideas, and if it made all 3 of us laugh, okay, we got something.
That's fun. Yeah.
Let's give it a shot and see. And generally speaking, they would work. You know, you'd have some times where it's like, oh, that didn't land.
Yeah.
Okay. But we just had so much fun. And I think as an audience member or viewer, you can sense when the performers are having fun. It bleeds through and you can pick up on it. And him and I have always just had fun because it is two guys that met in the 6th grade that are living their dream careers and getting it to do it together, but then also split up and get as high as we could within the singles ranks of our industry. That to me is the kind of crazy thing. Like,
Yeah.
wait, we both became world champions multiple times after that. Cool.
Oh, it's you can count the amount of tag teams that has happened to on one hand, if there is even any.
If like considered a tag team first.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, you have Austin and Triple H come
Yeah.
over the team after.
Yeah. Rock and Sock
You know,
connection.
we came in essentially as a team.
Yeah.
You know, we're within 6 months after getting there. We were a team, and then to do what we did in a singles capacity, that sometimes I'll sit and think about that and go, damn, that's pretty cool.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you again. I was a huge fan of the Brood growing up. I thought that was so cool.
Mhm.
You know, the way you guys came through the ring with the fire.
Yep.
So it piqued my interest when I heard you on Chris Van Vliet talking about how you tried to get Gangrel for
Yep.
WrestleMania 39.
Yep.
Fast forward to Double or Nothing 2024.
Yep.
Gangrel comes out of the ring. He spits blood on the House of Black. He clears it. I have to know how that came about. Like, what's the story there?
So I'd just been trying to figure out a way to work Gangrel in since I would pop back into the Brood character. So it felt like a no-brainer to me. You know, you got the Demon, you got Brood, and yeah, let's have Gangrel involved. You know, no one else saw it. Well, the powers that be didn't see it that way. So, okay, well, it's not my sandbox. So, but I knew if we ever got there again, and I also knew with AEW, Tony would be wide open to it.
Yeah.
Because more than anything, Tony's a wrestling fan. And he understands that wrestling fans remember because he remembers. And that was the argument I'd always get was, nobody's going to remember. Nobody's going to remember. And I thought, well, that's what our production team is for, is to put a package together to remind everyone.
Right.
If they don't. But also, they remember. So it was nice to be able to do that. And truly, like, I broke my leg probably about 10 minutes before the finish.
We're gonna talk about
So
that.
I was like, I got to get through this because Dave's coming up and I really want to see him in this ring and just have that moment with him. Because I don't feel like after the Brood we ever got that kind of moment. It was just one day, hey, we're going to split you guys up. And we're like, what? Okay. To do what?
Yeah.
This is working.
Yeah. Even watching it back, like all that stuff's on Netflix now, so you can go back and watch it. It does seem like you guys are together one day and then you're just not.
Done. Like the day they split us up, our second T-shirt came out. I'm like, what?
What are we doing?
What are we doing? But for whatever reason, like you said, the Brood connected.
Yeah.
And I think it was because the entrance, the music, it was different. It was just fun too.
Yeah.
And so to be able to get to do that with Gangrel that far, with the House of Black, which was characters that totally fit that dynamic and allowed me to be able to bring the Brood character back. So that was fun.
Oh man, I mean, I think wrestling is at its best when it rewards you for watching wrestling, and I think that was such a moment, like, for the real heads. Like, I remember watching that, being like, "Holy shit, Gangrel!" Just also having him come out of the ring as opposed, it's just like genius, you know.
It was a lot of fun, and also too, like, for the people that don't remember, well, you probably got somebody sitting beside you who's gonna fill you in.
Yes, exactly.
I love that too.
Yeah.
It becomes like this communal thing where, like, okay, what's the big deal here?
Yeah.
Okay, this guy's gonna fill you.
He'll tell you. Yeah. Speaking of that match, I rewatched it the other day, obviously in preparation here. And number one, Gangrel coming through the ring is probably like the fourth most bonkers thing that happens in that match.
Yeah, I know, right?
But also, I was surprised at, like, my memory of you taking the bump off the cage was that it happened much closer to the end of the match. But, like, how the hell did you finish, man? There was, like, I don't know, 15 minutes left?
Yeah, there was a while left. It was, I just assumed, maybe a bone bruise.
Right.
Yeah, maybe the ankle slammed off the tibia and that is what happened. But but yeah, so I didn't assume it was as bad as it was. Little by little, as the match kept going, and I kept getting up and running and doing things, like, okay, it's getting really uncomfortable now. But still didn't think much of it. I just, I walked to the back, I walked to the trainer's room, and they were moving it around. I'm like, well, I mean, it doesn't feel great, but I don't think it's broken. Yeah. And I walked out of the arena and I walked into the emergency room, and they got x-rays and they went, quit walking. You have a broken leg. I went, oh, right.
Oh, God damn.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Right. So, and it was one of those deals where I got up there and it sounded like a good idea in my brain beforehand, but I got up there, I was like, ooh, this is really high. Wow. And then I look down and I see Malachi, like, eyes are just like, he's scared to death.
Yes.
Right. I'm like, okay, if I do a splash, I could crush him. Maybe if I just try and pull off an elbow. And then when I hit, I'll roll back. Yeah. Which is what I did, but
the legs came down.
Yeah.
You can see you up there kind of being like, ooh.
Oh, man. And I've never done that before.
No.
Usually it's I get up there and I just do it.
Yeah, you're doing it.
This time, I'm 51. I have kids. This might not have been my brightest move.
Well, I'm already up here.
We're here now. Here it goes. Yeah. So, it was, but just a really, really fun experience. And to be able to do that with Gangrel again, that far removed, and also hear the reaction.
Yeah.
And hear that they remember, man. Our fans remember. I think, like you said, as a wrestling fan, you should get rewarded. Yeah. For remembering those things and being that much of a fan of something.
Yeah.
So that was a blast.
Oh, that was awesome. And even watching it back, I was just like blown away by it. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, one of your more iconic feuds that I think stands out to everybody is, Edge and John Cena. John Cena coming to the end of his run here. He has taken to, I'm not sure if you've seen, he's taken to sort of giving some in-ring nods to guys that he's not going to get to wrestle before he ends.
I saw a clip, a couple of days ago where he did the whole setup and everything.
Yes, I was going to ask you, yes, he hit a spear in the ring, which also a little funny side bit is the WWE commentary. We're like, oh, nod to Roman Reigns. And then he took to Instagram and posted a photo of you being like, sure. Clearly this is Edge.
We get it, Michael, you're a shill.
Yeah. It's like, obviously someone's in your ear, but like, come on. I was just wondering if you've seen, there's a lot of fan reaction online too. Like, your name gets brought up a lot there. What did you think of the nod? And,
that's super fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. And I think, for John and I, we're two guys that met each other at the right time. He needed a bad guy and I needed a good guy. And it just clicked. You never know when something is going to click. Like, I remember with Eddie and I the first time we wrestled, and it was like, it was okay.
Yeah.
Right? But it should have been more than that. And then next one was a little bit more. And then finally by our third match, we were like, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
With John and I from day one, it just clicked. And I think it was, our characters were polar opposite. I knew what the assignment was, and so did he. And I think you had two guys that were very willing to do what we had to do to get us both over. And John was already well on his way, but I feel like our angle is what really put the stamp on him being the top guy, and it put the stamp on me being a main event guy. So that, I'll always look back at that one fondly and what we were able to do and the fun we had.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anytime you have a TLC match that can somehow overshadow you going into John Cena's dad's house and smacking him in the face, I think that's a huge accomplishment. All right, I'll get you out of here with one quick last one. Okay. When you come to Toronto, you always come correct with the gear. Is there anything you can tease to us about your gear Saturday?
So this one will be more of a tip of the hat to our team.
Awesome.
And the attire that I wore while we teamed the first time. So it's more of a throwback to that. However, I do have some other plans that I got my fingers crossed about that are very Toronto, very Canadian. So we'll see.
And that's incredible. With that, we'll leave it. Thanks so much, Adam. You guys can check out Adam teaming with Christian this weekend against FTR at All Out, Scotiabank Arena, 3 p.m. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thanks.